Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Let's Play Humans, written by a glass of whiskey. Alright, roll your stats, said the game master. Tonight all 5 of them had gotten together, a break from the busy life of studying, for a game night. And tonight it would be something special. I only rolled a 3 for int. His large ears lowered as he looked back down at the dices. 3 ones. Don't worry, you can be a fighter. Don't need more than 3 for a witty one-liners perk. But I wanted to be an engineer. We already got 3 of those. Not everyone can build planet-exploding toasters. Need a boarding force as well, the game master chimed in, hoping that they could avoid having an all-engineer party again. Actually, the potato cannon gives us infinitive ammunition that does unlimited personal damage. Don't need any boarding party, said one of the engineers, with his nose deep into one of his rulebooks. Then how are you supposed to save the princess? Blow her up as well, countered the game master, with an annoying tone in his voice. This time, not every problem would get solved with the potato cannon. Are you sure of that, this whole princess thing? Said another engineer, as he waved to get the rulebook passed to him. Of course, haven't you read the extensions? Plenty of captured princesses in those. He made a gentle movement towards a stack of extensions sitting next to him. The carefulness was well-founded. The sheer height of them was threatening the game table with complete chaos should a non-gentle movement disturb them. Yes, but wasn't that for one of the tribe-traveling parties? Said one of the engineers that was actually paying attention since he had momentarily given up his rulebook. You're all time travelers, forward in time. Also, I believe the engineers have a perk that lets them travel through time if they have a toaster equipped. The princess was probably brought here by one of those malfunctioning. If you couldn't use the toaster to explain away plot holes, what were they good for? What? Then captured again? It is my understanding that this is what human females from this time period do. Look, they even have a specialization for it, screaming for help. And he helpfully pointed to a relevant section in the book. Doesn't seem right. Look, it's just get the time period right. See, for modern specializations, it's badass feel makes aliens scream for help. It was underneath the first one. The register was a complete mess in its book. So, how do we meet? Said one of the players, with some annoyance in his voice, wanting to get this game started before it dissolved into another discussion about some arcade rule. The game master happily obliged. You're in a tavern, drinking ethanol and breathing fire, when some of the tavern's inhabitants decide that you need some roughing up. Why? Curiosity now. He could have used some of that in the detective adventure. Then it was just shoot that, shoot this, be huff players. You looked at them funny. Nailed it. Now they have claws and level 4 armor. What do you do? Are there any toasters nearby? Wondered one of the engineers. No. Give an engineer 1 toaster, and you'll never get a hold of the plotline again. I charge forward, said the fighter, his ears having recovered from their lowered stance and were now in full swing. With no weapon, he did not want the only non-engineer player to die first, as it was guaranteed to transform him into another engineer. Yeah, the easiest way. Gripping is far deadlier than hitting when you have martial arts specialization. That couldn't be right. The player, however, was prepared with the right page opened. Let me look at that, he said, and took a quick look at the page. 5 dice in damage. He looked up at the player who had prepared the book. A big smile covered his face. So I need to success on a grappling attempt first, level 4 armor. That's a -10 penalty. The dice hit the table, landing on a 13. Ha! That's above 0. Success. Time to do some damage. The player's eyes flashed ominously as their ear movements reached speeds that would make helicopters envious. He had inadvertently created a bigger monster than the engineers. This can't be right. What kind of nonsense makes you do more damage throwing them than shooting them with a gun? Hey, I don't make the rules. 5 dice rolled down the table, bouncing along their way. Quick thinking and a swift hand saved them from the floor as they stopped at the edge. Oh, a high roll. 19. Did I get them? Oh, come on. He has 8 health. Oh, then that means overkill. I get to do a second attack. Of course he does. Just get it over with. An hour later, and with many destroyed bars behind them, they faced off against the final boss, an evil Empire's flagship that had captured the princess. Alright, now remember, you cannot throw the black hole generator onto the ship. That would kill the princess. That is bad. Are we clear on that? Civilian casualties had been high after they had found the toaster storage. In hindsight, giving them access to what was, in practice, an infinite number of black hole generators had been a mistake. He had tried to rely on a possible civilian casualties as a limiter. Yeah, no. Yeah. But it does have support ships, right? What said one of the engineers, zooming in on the possible kills, with the dice in hand. Yes, it does have 3 support ships. If he didn't give them something, then princess or no princess, that flagship would be mashed potatoes. And we have 3 engineers with toasters. What a coincidence! 3 black holes and some potatoes later. All right, you have now destroyed the support ships and the guns, shields, engine, and most of the armor of the flagship. Give a private potato gun, and he will shoot anything and everything. Next time, you would have the ships be nanoswarms or something. Might complicate the princess storage, but at least the potato cannon wouldn't just completely cripple it in 5 shots. How are you actually going to save the princess, potato gun or no potato gun? There were no saving potatoes. Is it my turn yet? Said the poor fighter, who had barely destroyed any of the bars and was feeling left out, just sitting around in space battle. Although he had punched a ship in the previous encounter, stunning it for 1 turn. The system was just weird. Yes, but you're stuck on the ship unless you have some kind of boarding ship. He had hinted that they would need one throughout the entire campaign, even offered one for free, with heavy hints that it might be important later. They had said that they had toasters. What else did they need? Damn players, ruining the adventure. Oh, I can hold my breath for several minutes, so I don't need that. Just bring the ship close, and I'll jump into it. Without an exosuit, also needed, even for free. I have enduring damage perk. It'll take hours before I die from vacuum damage. Who in the hell had designed this system? It was as balanced as toasters. Fine. At least the traps inside would finally get a chance. He had spent hours on making them in an interesting and fun challenge. After parking the ship close to the crippled flagship and having the fighter dive into one of those holes, the fighter found himself with 2 possible paths. Now there are 2 doors on either side of you, the one on the right. I punch the wall. What? I punch it. Do I get through? You cannot punch through walls. Actually, he can. One of the engineers shimmed in. We built him an exoskeleton from the material in the last bar, remember? It was in the downtime after we... Right, fine. You punched through the wall. At least 2 traps gone, but hey, couldn't avoid many more of them, could they? Much punching of walls later, and many more traps avoided. Yes, you punched through the wall. Now what? He thought the toasters were overpowered, and so had designed all the traps with that in mind. But he was starting to see that the traps he had designed could all be solved by punching the wall and walking around them. I should be where the princess is, right? Huh. Oh, what do you mean? The old man told us that she was in the middle of the flagship, the safest spot. We should be there by now, presuming the walls are at least 1 meter apart each. Fair enough. If he let the wall punching continue for much longer, he would go insane. Now time for the final boss. You punch through the final wall, and as you enter, you see the Dark Lord standing before you, with an exoskeleton of his own. He sees you and cackles, "My little human, now." Shouldn't he take vacuum damage? One of the engineers piped up. Yeah, we punched all the way from space. It should be a vacuum inside, another one chimed up. He hadn't thought of that. Worse, the boss did not have enduring damage perk. He would choke and die within 5 turns, and one of those was already spent on monologuing. What about the princess? Doesn't she die as well? The 3rd engineer added at last. Oh great, killing the final boss and the princess at the same time. Only fitting for this clusterfuck of a campaign should end like this. That's fine, I can take damage for her whilst bleeding for others perk, said the fighter. How many perks do you have? One of the engineers asked. They themselves had picked 0 of them. When you don't spend all your XP on maxing out your toaster manipulation skill, you have a lot of XP over, said the miffed fighter, who still hadn't forgiven them for pushing him to be the fighter. Whatever, the final boss dies and you save the princess. The end! It was finally over. Don't forget to punch your way outside through the other side. Why? It's over. Cooler. Oh. And once the princess is outside, we blow the ship up with one of our modified toasters. Yeah, of course. Nanoswarms next time. All the nanoswarms. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 peeps: Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Bushmaster 177, Henry the Red, Caspar Arnholtz, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Elijah Silvercross, Dragzoon WRE, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.